want to do a rift again and again because you're trying to get that sweet piece of loot. And we want to make sure that the game stays interesting and dynamic so that every time you play, it's different. So our general philosophy on randomness is that we're not trying to treat randomness as a goal in itself. We're trying to use it as a tool to keep the replayability of Diablo as high as possible. I'm going to go through some examples of changes that are coming to greater rifts and how our philosophy on randomness plays out. So let's talk about pylons a little bit. There's a common thread on the community and forums and so forth that the conduit pylon stands out as a huge outlier, right? People are always talking about how for certain builds, you get to the Rift Guardian and you have your conduit pylon, and that's the only way that you can beat that highest rift, that one that you're about to fail on, and you're just trying to figure out, am I going to get a conduit, am I not? The most common request we get is to remove the conduit pylon. That's not what we want to do. While we are considering some changes to conduit, what we'd rather do is focus on the question, why is the conduit pylon getting so much attention? There's 5 different pylons in the game. Why doesn't the speed pylon or the shielding pylon get some attention? What if they were just as good as the conduit pylon for improving your time? So, on PTR at 2.12, we're going to experiment with some changes to the speed pylon. It's going to last the whole minute instead of 30 seconds. It's going to let you run through Waller. It's going to let you run through monsters and knock them up into the air. We're making changes to the shielding pylon. When monsters hit you, you're going to do reflex damage on them. Also, when the shielding ends, you're going to explode and do damage to everything that's near you at the time that the shield pylon wears off. Woo. So that's kind of an example of how we're looking at these pylons and we're saying, we don't want to take the pylons out because that's going to make every rift run feel more samey. It's going to actually reduce the replayability factor of the rifts. What we'd rather do is say, you know, it's not a question of did I get a conduit or not, it's which pylon did I get this time and what did I do with it. We're also looking at how many pylons I get. You know, sometimes you get 1 pylon and sometimes you get 6. So we're doing some special, changes to it to make sure that you get, pretty much between 2 and 4 pylons every time. Again, we're trying to keep the randomness in there, but not let it be the sole determinant about whether or not you reach it a high, greater rift. Let's take a look at another example. Of course, monster density, right? Everyone's favorite topic. We're looking at improving the monster density in all the rifts that are low. These changes include, making sure that the elites are there, that the normal monsters are there. The theme is consistent. We want to make sure that success or failure does not matter on the random number generator. There's always going to be monsters there for you to slay. The only question is, what kind of monsters are there going to be? And, searching through the dungeon to find a good set of distribution. Of course, there's Rift Guardians. Sometimes you go through a whole rift and you get down to the last guardian and you're like, oh no, I got rhyme. Oh, this is so bad. Don't worry about it. We're looking at that. We're looking at all the rift guardians. Again, we don't want to just say, okay, you know what? In order to make this as fair as possible, we're just going to get rid of all the guardians and just use one, because that's not going to be as interesting. What we're focusing on right now is making sure that every rift guardian is memorable for its own reasons. So we're looking at making sure that they have new and interesting mechanics. And there'll be a preview of that later on coming from Kevin about one of the new Rift Guardians. But in general, the idea is, it's not a question, again, you've heard me say it, 3 times already. We don't want randomness to dictate your success or failure. We want it to be, hey, what was my distribution? Hey, what was my Rift Guardian? And your success or failure will depend on how well you change how you play to take on this Guardian. And of course, there's level distribution. Have you guys had levels like this before? So when I see that, I'll be honest, I was like, oh my goodness, that level looks so boring. And then Kevin was like, that's also really fast and efficient and fun, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Right. Wait, I haven't decided there. First time I got one of these, I just got into the highest Rift level, awesome, and all I had was Westmarch Brutes in one of these. So every time I died, because they chain stunned me, I'd have to run, I timed it, 7 minutes to get back to that. So it isn't always quite as efficient as you think.
Well, you don't die, and it's very efficient.
these distributions are great, but of course, not every level's like that. And honestly, you wouldn't want every level to be like that. I mean, the different tile sets, the different layouts, that's one of the things that makes Diablo highly replayable. So what we are looking at is, okay, look, if there's going to be a dead end, could it please not be a dead end at the end of a super long 2.5-minute hallway? So we're removing all the really long dead ends, so it's never more than like a 5-second backtrack. Or we're also looking at the loops. I mean, loops aren't technically a dead end, but if it's a really big loop and you explore the whole thing, you kind of feel like it was a dead end, right? So we're going to get rid of those too. We're going to make sure that the random level generator and the way that it does the layout still keeps the game interesting and fresh, but again, doesn't dictate whether or not you're going to be able to beat that last tier. And then, it's funny that Johnny and Kevin were talking about death, because another problem with that really long hallway, of course, is what happens when you die. Now, we're not going to change hardcore, of course. You're still, dead permanently. But in softcore, your success or failure can sometimes depend on whether or not your run back to your corpse is really long. It's a really inconsistent death penalty. In fact, when you look at some of the best clears, sometimes the deaths happen near the checkpoint, because there the death penalty is irrelevant. And if it's at the end of a long 2.5-minute run, you die once and your whole run is basically you're going to fail that tier. So we were looking at this screen and we were thinking, hey, we got this other res at corpse button that we've disabled. What if we turn that back on, but we still want death to have some teeth to it? So again, this is just experimental. We're going to put this up on PTR. We can try it out. You guys can give us your feedback. But we're going to try incrementing a death timer. So it'll be 5 seconds, 10 seconds, 15, each time you die, up to a cap. And that way, the most important thing to take away is death will still be meaningful, but the size of the death penalty doesn't matter on the kind of level that was generated. So it feels more like you were in control. It was your responsibility to stay alive. You didn't. Here's a consistent death penalty. So this, awesome. Good, I'm glad you like that. We should probably take some time out. I think we were talking about Deckard Cain going on that research mission. So let's check in on and see how he's doing. Hey, that's not bad.
He's really super slow.
Yeah.
He's not the right person to pick.
All right, well, he's not there yet. So I guess I'll use this time. We can talk about Season 2 a little bit. So Season 2 is going to be on the PTR soon. And there's going to be changes again. Let's take a quick preview of some of the things coming in Season 2. So let's talk about conquests. So as you know, there are 5 conquests, 10 in total, because for both hardcore and softcore, which are supposed to be unique, different ways to complete and play the game. There's some conquests that we like, and there's some conquests that we didn't like. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring back some of our favorite conquests, like the one to get to a high grade or rift tier. We really like the way that played out. It really took a commitment from the players to prove themselves to be high on that leaderboard, and we really like how that works. So that one's coming back. How about reach level 70? No, that one's gone. We're not going to bring that conquest back. We're going to replace that one. Why? Well, plain and simply, focusing on getting experience as much as possible leads players to do things that are sometimes repetitive or boring. And we want the player to be doing a variety of fun activities. It's the same reason that we don't have a Paragon leaderboard. People ask, oh, there's a leaderboard for greater rifts. Where's my Paragon leaderboard? And we're like, well, we don't really want people to then say, well, I'm going to get to the top of that Paragon leaderboard. Let me go and do this highly repetitive activity and optimize my XP. Now this one's kind of interesting, the Conquest Speed Racer. This one challenged players to finish the entire game from beginning to end in 1 hour. We thought this was really cool. I mean, it's not a conquest for everybody. Not everyone's going to do it. But for the people who didn't want to just do, more adventure mode and bounties or greater rifts, and they said, hey, I've got some buddies. I'm going to get together. It caused people to put together custom gear sets, look at their skills in a different way, maybe even, re-gem in a different way, change what's going on, and coordinate and plan with their teammates to kind of say, how are we going to finish the whole game in an hour? we really like that it put an interesting twist on how you normally play Diablo. So here's the 3 conquests that we're bringing to Season 2. These will be joined by 2 old ones. I'll let you guys take that in a little bit. Again, as you can see, the focus is on playing the game in a different way. You're not going to get these conquests by accident. You're going to get these conquests by saying, hey, I want to do something different today. Look, no one's done this conquest yet. Or, oh, I could still be in the top 100. Let me try and do this. You're probably going to need to plan. You're going to need to think about how you're going to achieve it. You might need to change your gear a little bit or your skills to do that one. Except, well, the last one for lore, because we know that there are some people out there who really love to collect those lore books. It's a different way to play. Not every conquest is for every person, but we want to try and encourage these different play styles. So also coming in Season 2 is the new transmog. So we release a new 2 pieces of the transmog set every season. For those of you who have a level 70 in Season 1, you're going to get your helm and shoulder piece. If you get a level 70 in Season 2, you're going to get the legs and the boots. And then here's a preview in Season 3 what the full set will look like. All right, let's talk about legendary items. So I'm going to preview 2 legendary items, and these 2 legendary items are both season-only legendary items. So I don't know if anybody here has a Jade Harvester Witch Doctor. Anyone? Yeah? I love playing my Jade Harvester Witch Doctor, and this staff is really inspired about being able to change up that gameplay a little bit. Yes, you're going to cast Locust Swarm. I also want to point out this staff always rolls with 21 to 25% increased poison damage as well. In fact, you don't even need to be a Jade Harvester to make this work. I mean, you might be a pet build or fetish build, and you could still use this staff and just have the Locust Swarms coming off without the skill even being on your bar. Here's a video of it in action. Notice as the video plays, when the Witch Doctor runs around, you don't even have to stop to cast Locust Swarm. It just comes out and starts infecting all the monsters around you. Another legendary that we're going to look at, this one's for wizards. This one's for Energy Twister. It has a chance to pull enemies in. For this legendary, we really liked Energy Twister, which was seen a lot before Reaper of Souls. But since then, Energy Twister has been a lot less popular. That's because, quite simply, there's not a lot of legendary items that go well with it. So we're fixing that. Again, this will be a season-only legendary. Let's take a look at the gameplay on this. Yeah. So that's going to be good times. All right, so I'm going to pass off the mic now to Kevin Martins, our lead designer.
Thanks, Wyatt. So that's just a sneak peek of items. We're showing a lot more at tomorrow's Evolving Reaper of Souls panel, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. We have something special coming there, too. Ancient items. So essentially, with Reaper of Souls and with Loot 2.0, we completely changed how we gave out loot, the rate at which we gave it, and so on. And I have a simple diagram here to show you the difference between that. So this is Blizzard. We're Barbarian Santa. And that is a sack full of legendaries that are raining from the sky all the time for you guys. Okay, so that's good, right? Like being much more generous, way less stingy than we were when the game launched. That's all good. We don't want to change that. However, that means some players who are particularly lucky or have played a ton have actually maxed out their sets. They might have a set exactly what they want. They might have it on even every character, good rolls, and they ask us, hey, I like playing the game, but I sort of run out of rewards that I'm actually looking for. Can you guys do anything about that? Well, yes, we can. So coming in 2.1.2, this should start feeling exciting again for max-geared people because we have ancient items. So this applies to all legendaries and all new legendaries going forward as well. It's an entirely new tier for them. The short version is it's up to 30% better. And these are available starting in Torment. And the higher you go in Torment with your current max-geared characters, the higher chance it is that any item will roll as legendary. So getting right to an example. Maximus, one of everyone's favorite swords. This gives you your own demonic slave on a fire chain, nice tactical weapon. This is a pretty good Maximus, and this is an ancient Maximus, and look at all those green numbers. So this is coming right away on PTR as well. And again, let us know what you think about that. This should give a longer tail to the people who are really max geared in the game. So this will, again, apply to all new legendaries as well, including all the cool ones we're showing off tomorrow. So we have a whole new zone for you guys. And this one you can play, if you haven't already, on our demo just over there on the show floor. And this is the Ruins of Sescheron. We had a game we released a little while ago, quite a few years. It was called Diablo 2, Lord of Destruction. And I have here a edited version of the opening cinematic. And in this, a barbarian lord confronts Baal, the Lord of Destruction, with his demonic army. This takes place in front of the gates of Sescheron. And you'll see, you probably remember what happens next. So let's watch that for a second before we show you what this area looks like.
Baal! The gates of Sescheron have stood for eons beyond remembrance, and you shall not breach them now. Remove your foul demons from our lands. We stand on the side of light. You shall not be allowed to reach Mount Ariat, and that which you seek will not be yours.
Enough! Enough!
Okay, so I grabbed that part of it because it shows you an establishing shot of Sescheron and what's about to happen to it when Baal sends his army forward. This is going to be a new area in adventure mode. It's going to have bounties. It's going to have new monsters. It'll be near Area Crater in Act 3. And this, what you see on the show floor is just a very basic version of the ruins. So a lot of the decorative elements aren't there yet. It already looks pretty cool. But what I have here is a bunch of new things you're going to be seeing when the zone's finally done. So as you can probably tell, Barbarian is one of our favorite classes and has been for years. It's the only one that came forward from Diablo 2 exactly as is. And the artists are excited to be able to actually show you things from the Barbarians' homeland. You know, this was once a mighty, proud people. They lived in a super harsh land, and they built an extraordinarily massive city, and it was wiped out in basically a day by the Lord of Destruction. So those remnants of it that are left, including your own Barbarian that you play in Diablo 3, they could do nothing but come back to Sescheron and bury the dead. So in the final version of it, you're going to see a lot of funerary art, pyres and so on. So it's going to have basically a lot of melancholy to it as well. So we also have a lot of traps as far as gameplay goes in this area, and this stuff is on the show floor. So rather than showing you videos of these traps in action, I'd love you guys to go and play and give us feedback on what do you think. So here's the giant swinging blade traps, and this is quite the hazard. The monsters move in and out of these. You're weaving through them trying to avoid them. And then these are spike traps. These have a nice tactical element to them. That shield in the middle, you can safely stand there and you can click it and spam spikes into any monsters that you've kited into that area. So this is a very interactive trap as well. Good tactical ability. And we'll probably keep pumping up the damage on this because, well, we love spikes. All right, so a new zone is not complete without new monsters. This year, you may remember last year, we unveiled a whole bunch of Reaper of Souls monsters, including the Reaper family. And back then, we also had the Bog family. So we are approaching monster design based on families of monsters, groups that come together, big brutish monsters, little swarmers, etc. This time around, we are trying something different with the monster team. They were working instead on classes of monsters. So the first three I'm going to show you are swarmer monsters, and that's what are in the ruins today. So we are doing all the swarmers at once, and that gives us the ability to have these monsters stand out from each other. They fill the same tactical role, but putting them right next to each other really puts the onus on us as designers and monster makers to have them not play all the same way. So the ruins are empty of civilization now. So monsters have come up from the forests and down from the mountains and infested the ruins. It's an entirely new monster called the Nausea Beetle. So these are kind of little fiery bastards. They've got a spit attack as well. They're very easy to kill. So these ones aren't too hard, but they do have that fire attack. Frost maggots, however, when they die with this freeze attack, you can really get into trouble. They're very easy to kill, but when you're swarmed by those, you have to be careful because other bigger monsters around them might eat your lunch. And then we've also done a little bit of revisiting some of our favorite monsters. It's nice to get another chance to try something out. This was based on the sand wasp. This was a monster that was so beloved or behated, if that's a word, that it even has memes about it, right? Oh, the bees with their spit attack. These guys are different. By the way, I miss how much damage that did. I liked avoiding that. Killed me many times, and I'm unhappy that we nerfed that. We should pump that back up. Anyway, these guys are a lot more aggressive than them on the actual physical level. They burst out of these glowing nests. They come right at you. They do have a spit attack, like the other wasps, but they use it much less frequently, and there's a lot more of their stinger in action there. So this is a good monster, very aggressive. All right, and then we have one more monster we're showing today, and a sneak peek of another one, and this is the Rat King. If you don't know, well, you know, we have a history of having very gross monsters in this game. I'm going to say the Queen of Greed that we showed earlier, or the Lord of Gluttony from Act 3. This one is really the most disgusting thing we've done. Please, if you have children in the audience, please cover their eyes. If you're faint of heart, you might want to. This is gross. Let's just get to it.
Yeah, I'm a little tryptophobic, so I won't be watching this.
Okay, if you're not Googling tryptophobia, that is a fear of organic holes and the things that might come out of them. And being Diablo, nothing good's going to come out of this. But teasing enough here. This is the Rat King. This is the basic concept for it. Okay, so no, that's gross. You've seen gross stuff before. No big deal. Yeah, that's pretty gross. Fine. All right, so here's the model. This is the process by which we make these creatures. This is sort of a twisted natural creature that appears in the world of Sanctuary long before demons became a problem for humans. This was already a very deadly world. And then here, a final version of the model. So quick behind-the-scenes story on how this monster actually plays before I get to the good part. This monster had antlers. That's that twisted nature theme. He originally had a teleport attack. And we changed it in the demo on the floor that he's got a burrowing attack instead. So he comes out of his own organic hole before, I'm getting ahead of myself, before other things happen. And we took it, once he went to a burrow attack, the antlers really didn't make sense. So we took those off, and we'll probably bring them back on another behavior later on. But this is the final model of the version you play in the game. Okay, so here's where Wyatt has to turn away.
Yeah, I'm not looking.
Okay, what's popping out of his back are slimy little albino rats. Every time you hit him, rats come out and attack you. Every time he sees you, he shakes his back, and a whole bunch of slimy little rats come out and attack you. When you kill him, a whole nest of rats come out and attack you. And they're gross and they're wet, and let's get right to the gameplay video here. This, by the way, is the new Rift Guardian, Hamelin, the Rat King. Oh, there's those rats. Oh my god, rat tornado right there in the middle. Their tails are tied together. They're coming at you. Watch out. This green ring keeps you trapped with Hamelin. You can only use your movement abilities to get out. Another rat tornado. Can our monk survive? And watch his back. Splat. So that is where rats are born in the world of Sanctuary. So, thank you. Thank you. You know, I do not know what's wrong with us either. Okay, so you'd better kill him before he kills you, because otherwise undignified things are going to happen. Okay, that's great.
Do it again. And this is why we did the panel after lunch. So.
All right. Okay, so there's other monsters that we didn't have ready for a playable state. Everything I just showed you can play right now, right over there. The Yeti family is coming as well. So Yeti's another monster from Diablo 2 that we liked, and we're going to put our own Diablo 3 twist on these things, and we'll try not to be quite as gross as the other ones. But this is a monster we're working on right now back at the office, and hopefully next time we get together, you'll be able to fight these things in a build. Okay. Oh, hey! He made it. That took a while. All right, Deckard Cain, please report in with your official time. How long does it take to get to the jeweler? Okay, that is more than fair. The good news is we fixed it. In Act 1, everything is super close to the hub and the town portal. It is no longer faster to go to Act 3, do your shopping, and come back to Act 1 anymore. All right, so this is how long it takes to get to the jeweler now. Ta-da! Magic. All right. Okay, so of the stuff we showed today, what's coming when and how? So again, patch 2.12 is coming very soon. very soon as a registered trademark of Blizzard Entertainment. The treasure goblins, all those treasure goblins are coming, and
Maybe more.
maybe more. Season 2 will be there on PTR with all the conquests. We'd really like you guys to spend some time playing that, as well as the new legendaries that are with that, and the new legendary gems. Adventure mode improvements, everything we talked about with greater rifts and adventure mode is coming in patch 212. And a little salve for poor Kane. All right, in future, as of yet unnumbered patches, the Runes of Sescheron will be coming. New monsters, not just the ones there, not just the Yeti, but more than we can't show today quite yet. A whole bunch of new legendaries. And more stuff, more things, more features, and so on. I noticed that Ancient Items is missing off this list. That's coming in patch 212 as well. So tomorrow and today we have what we're calling the Legendary Workshop. This is working with you guys as our community to build a legendary together. We've been already gathering ideas on Twitter and so forth, and we've got 2 special things happening as well. At the community booth, we're going to be looking for volunteers to come on stage and actually participate at a whiteboard, an actual whiteboard used for legendary design at the office, with us on stage to design legendary based on some of the ideas we're putting forward. Furthermore, at the community booth for the next hour and 20 minutes after this, Wyatt and Travis Day, one of our item designers, will be at the booth accepting your ideas. Please come and give them. They do not have to be complete ideas. You don't have to know what type of item it's on. If you just have the gist of an idea, like, wouldn't it be awesome if the barbarian had a two-handed weapon that was actually made of a monk in spiky armor who's just keeping his body rigid?
Any ideas? Any ideas is fine. Over at the community booth.
Right, and so our job as designers and with our guest designers from the community, we'll be trying to turn those ideas into some sort of reality, something we can actually get in the game in a future patch. And lastly, I want to say that this has been a crazy journey from us, from before Diablo shipped, with all this anticipation, the highs and lows of launch, all these patches, Reaper of Souls, etc. You guys have been with us from the beginning. You've been very patient, very helpful. We've spent a lot of time in this game. We've put our hearts and souls in this. Thank you for being here. And I hope you guys come tomorrow to Evolving Reaper of Souls. We're going to show off a whole bunch of new legendaries and a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
I believe we have times for questions.
All right, questions. I think we have one mic over there, and I think that's it. Are you ready?
Hi. Whoa,
yeah.
Years and years ago, at a much earlier BlizzCon, I think right after D3 was